I just created a system on N8N that completely automates your cold email outreach. It sends dynamic emails to each of your prospects, depending on where they live and what they do. And here's the best part, it doesn't even use AI. Let's take a look. So let's see this email cold campaign automation in action. So what I'm going to do is I have a bunch of contacts I exported right here, and they're all currently in the not sent status. I'm just going to keep it here. And then let's just run this workflow and see what happens. And one by one, we're going to see these emails get sent. Boom. And then 5 seconds later, the next one's going to send. Sent. And if I go to my Gmail right now, I can see that in my sent emails, this just sent. I'm recording this at 5 a.m. I don't sleep. But we can see each one is customized for each person, for their restaurant or their business in their city, and sends over the same information for everyone. And boom, a few more. And it just keeps running over and over again. And you can do this for 5 emails, 10 emails, 25, 100,000 emails. I would not recommend doing 100,000 emails because you're going to get blocked and put as spam. But that's how it works. So you may be thinking, okay, Smartin, you're the AI guy. Why are you advocating to not use AI in this situation? Well, yeah, if we're looking at this whole layout right here, it's pretty simple. And I can definitely add a node somewhere in here to customize each email according to every person and have an AI node that uses OpenAI, DeepSeek, whatever AI tool you want. However, if you're running this flow maybe 100 or 1,000 times a day, the power of N8N is in the fact that no matter how many times this execution runs in one go, you're only getting charged per workflow execution, meaning it could run 1,000 times through this loop, but you're only getting charged for one workflow execution. However, if this loop suddenly contains an AI node, that AI node is being ran 1,000 times, and then you're racking up tokens, which means a lot more money out of your pocket. So if you can find the same way to create customized dynamic emails to each client you're outreaching to without using any AI tokens, well, that puts the money back in your pocket. So that's the way I figured it out. So this is the workflow overall, and we can see that it's not that complicated because it really isn't. There's ways to overcomplicate this if you want to, but this is a general framework of how I built it out. So when we look at this, for example, we have our triggers. And now I can trigger it when I click test workflow, or I can trigger it at a certain schedule, maybe 5 p.m. whenever someone gets out of work. Around that time, we can trigger to send out all these emails. In this case, I like to have both options in case I want to control the time, but I also want to do it at any time I want. First thing you do is you get the leads from Google Sheets. So I've stored all my leads on Google Sheets, and I get this directly from exporting it from Apollo. I don't have a plan with Apollo, as you can see. So I just get, I think, 1,000 something free credits with the basic Apollo plan. So with that, I can export maybe 2,500 people a day, and then just immediately upload them to Google Sheets, append them to the list. It comes with a whole bunch of information, and I don't even bother editing it because I just pull out what I need. If I have to edit it, then I have to edit it every single time I export, just more time out of my day. So I just put all the information there, and I just add a status column at the end with a not send and a sent status. And you see why this is important later on. And then you can also filter by different locations and different industries. For me, a lot of my business is for restaurant owners. So right now I'm targeting Florida restaurant owners. So let me go ahead and export the next 25 people on the list. Click apply here. Select this page. And then let's export this. You can source your leads and your emails from wherever you like, whether you want to use Apollo instantly. If you want to get a membership, you can generate 10,000 leads at a single time, which could save you a lot of time. But remember that sending too many emails up at a single time can mark your emails as spam. So you want to slowly increase the amount of emails you send throughout a week or 2 weeks. I wouldn't send more than 25 emails a day when you're first starting out. So now I should get an email with the successful CSV export. Download that. Come in here, file, import, and just throw that in there. And then I want to append it to my current sheet. Now we see we have a bunch more data. I'm just going to remove this column that comes in, row. And then I also want to increase the status. So I'm just going to pull this down. These are all now not sent. And now I'm ready to go on this side. I don't have to mess with it. That was all the setup I need to import my contacts. So now when we're getting the leads, we want to connect our Google Sheets account, right? Find the document and find the individual sheet that we're working from. And then that status column I created, you want to filter the status to only look at not sent. Why is this important? Is because down the line, we're going to change this not sent into the sent status. And this tells the automation that, hey, do not send another email, because you don't want to send an email twice to the same person, because then they're going to see you as a bot. And then the whole thing, make sure you have this filter set and make sure you add that status column to keep track of the emails that have been sent to people you've actually emailed. And then I had this if statement, and this basically is if the JSON, if the email actually exists, right? If the email exists, then go ahead and start running the loop. Email exists for any of the leads that you're pulling in. If the email doesn't exist, then say, hey, add more leads. This is important if you're having a schedule at every day at 5 p.m., whatever time, and it looks at your Google Sheets and it says, okay, all of these people are sent. There's not a single person who is not sent. No emails exist. That means that when this gets the leads, since it has that filter, it's not going to filter anyone. And if that's the case, if no emails exist within all the leads that are pulled in, then send me an email saying, hey, yo, add some more leads to your list so we can start sending. It's almost like a reminder. And all this email does is just sends an email to me saying, hey, on today's date, there's no leads available. Add more leads. It's kind of like a reminder message. Okay, whoa, I gotta do my daily outreach. So that's not really needed at all. I just like it because it keeps me on track. So then we start a loop. Loop's the most important part. Batch size of 1. When we do this, we might get 25, 100. How many ever leads are on that have the not sent status will come out of this. And we don't want to just send a bunch of emails at one time. That's how you get immediately put into spam. You want to go through each one and make sure you customize an email to them, and also have a little bit of a wait trigger between each email. So start a loop. Batch size of 1 means you take 25 people and you take them out. You look at them one at a time. If the batch size were 2, you look at them 2 at a time. But just keep the batch size 1. Then we set fields. So this is just good coding practice. You always want to set your variables so they're easy to pull down the line in automation. So I pull the first name, business name, email. Let me go ahead and just run this right now so we have an example. So you can see that manually started workflow. I got 25 leads because I just added 25 leads that are not sent, and the emails exist. So I started a loop, and now 25 leads here. You can see that it's only pulling one item because my batch size is 1, and we're setting the following values, right? First name, business name, email, website URL, city and state. I actually don't use a website URL, but I pull it anyway, just in case you do at a later time wanna add some sort of AI automation to this process. Even though it might make it more expensive, it could improve it. And in that case, you can give the AI the website URL and ask them to do research on it. Which should be pretty great. But in my situation, I just want to keep it simple for right now, have a good foundation. Pull the city and state as well, and I'll explain why that's important in customizing your email. In this case, the city doesn't exist, which is also a situation that I've handled. right here, as we say to it. What if the city doesn't exist? Well, let's look at our first lead right here. Salem, their city, if you look, this city right here is empty. There's no city, right? And usually when I write these emails, I write it saying, my family and I loved visiting the business name during our last weekend trip to the business city, right? And notice how busy your team gets juggling in-person guests and phone orders. This is a customized message I created for restaurants because I provide restaurant solutions. So if you can say the exact city that a person lives in or that their business operates in, and you said, hey, last weekend my family and I, we loved visiting your business at this location at Orlando, for example. It's a lot more personalized than just saying like, oh, I loved visiting your city. Or sorry, I loved visiting your restaurant. And my whole brand is out of Georgia. So it wouldn't make sense for me to say that I was just visiting a Florida restaurant on the weekend or just on the weekends. But if I say, hey, I had my trip last weekend to Orlando and I visited your restaurant at that time, and then I saw this and this happen, and I feel like it's a problem that we can solve. So it customizes your message down to the city. But what if the city doesn't exist? Then we have this filter right here. The JSON.city doesn't exist, or the JSON.city is empty. Then we customize the message to say, my family and I love visiting business name during our last weekend trip to just the state. So actually this one says city. I gotta change that to state. So yeah, so then that last weekend trip to the adjacent state. So then it kind of cuts the city out of the process, and now we're just talking about Florida. Obviously, 90% of your contacts are gonna have a city. After that email is sent, then we go to the Google Sheets right here, and we update one field, which is the status that we talked about before. We update that as sent. Again, this is very important to make sure that you don't send duplicate emails if you run this on a schedule trigger. And after that, we have a little wait function that waits 5 seconds in order to just send these at a time. If you send like 100 emails in one go, you're gonna be marked as spam. You need to warm up your inbox slowly. And this wait function is important. You don't have to do it any longer than 5 seconds. I think 5 seconds works just fine. But also when you're sending these emails, again, when you're starting off, don't send more than 25. Slowly warm it up. 25, then 30, then 50, then 75, then 100. Take it at each time. After this loop runs through all 25 items, or how many ever not send clients there are in your list, then it'll send a confirmation email. And you can have more information sent through this email, but this sends basically to you saying email outreach update for today's date, which is basically now.format and then day, month, year. And then it just says your this many of a rows. The JSON row number is basically, in this case, the amount of time been ran, and then emails have been sent out. Actually, this would be incorrect because I'm just realizing now that this accounts for all the previous emails you also sent. So that wouldn't make sense. I'm just gonna keep it as your emails have been sent out because that is just. So this confirmation email basically just sends you an email saying, hey, your emails have been sent out for today. Just has the now date, which is basically a $now, which is today's date and time. And you just format it for day, month, and year. And it comes out looking nice and clean. And it's just an email to you saying, hey, your emails have been sent out. You're good to go, right? And what you can do here, which I haven't done, is you can also add an if statement that tracks how many times a loop has been looped, right? Or you can add a statement here that limits the amount of items that come through. Because if you down the line want to add maybe 10,000 leads from Apollo, put them all in here, and then every day just email 25 of them slowly, and it'll just go. And then you have 10,000 emails in there. You don't have to worry about it. You're just kind of like, you put it in one and you just forget about it. And then every day it just sends 25 more emails, 24 more emails, 24 more emails. So you can do that. Right now I don't have that set, but that's just simple, just adding an if statement and seeing how many times a loop has been run. and limiting the amount of leads that you collect from the Google Sheets at a certain time. So now I also wanted to walk in and give y'all some free sauce here into my format for these emails. So I do it in HTML, and what I like to do is, if I go to my email right here, let's go to an example. So I just say, hey Paula, which is the first name, right? A quick question. It's good to trigger that client's first name and just keep the subject very short and simple to kind of spark their curiosity. Don't say like, hey, I'm doing solutions for AI. Hey, I do solutions for marketing. I think you need it. Like, just keep it very simple, very general, where they have to open the email to find out more information. And then once they open the email, I get right to the point. No more introduction. Hey, my family and I love visiting the brand name or the restaurant name in this case, during our last weekend trip to City, and noticed how busy your team gets juggling in-person guests and phone orders. And then the next line is, so first line is the problem you guys have and my connection with your business. Second line, again, very concise, is what I do to solve that problem. My company specializes in building custom AI voice agents that handle calls 24/7, freeing up your servers to focus on guests while ensuring you never miss an order, especially during peak hours, right? So this is the same for every restaurant that I send. And it's basically my solution to whatever problem I just suggested they have. And then here I have some demos, or you can even include some testimonials of previous projects. I built a similar solution for local restaurants in Georgia, significantly improving their operations. And then has 2 demos that link to YouTube videos for different solutions I've created. And then mind if I send over a custom demo I created for CFS Coffee Franchise. Have I created a custom demo for CFS Coffee Franchise? Hell no. But if they reply, can I? Absolutely. And that won't take me that long. Maybe a couple hours, maybe a day to cook up. But if I get a reply from them, they're like, yeah, sure, go ahead, send some info. Then I know it's serious. I can quickly look at their website, look at their operations, build them a custom phone demo, and then send that to them. But if you tell them, hey, I send over a custom, like I have created a custom demo for you, and I'm not trying to sell anything in this email. I haven't mentioned any price tags, haven't mentioned scheduling an appointment, haven't mentioned anything. I just said, hey, created a custom demo. Are you interested in seeing it, right? Very low risk for them. If they want, they can just kind of not reply to me even after they get the demo. So why wouldn't they, right? And then I have my little tag at the end. This is as a picture, and it's just just has my website, my name, my email, and where I'm from, and my logo as well. This is all put into HTML right here. Remember that when you're doing HTML, you need to have your line breaks. If you didn't have these, then there would be no space between this line and this line. It would start right here. So every line break is one line. So if you add one of those line breaks, it comes down to this line. But I want to spread it out even more, so I put a second line break. And then 2 line breaks after this line as well. Line break is basically this caret br space / caret. So adding 2 of them will move it, get a 1 line space between them. See, I have 2 more right here. You want to spread those emails, spread those texts out. You don't want too much text in one location. I do the same thing here. And this is HTML. So like this goes into a whole thing. I took a class on it, so I kind of understand this. Not on a super high level, but and then you have your link right here. And you can look up how to create good HTML. And I basically, for the most complicated part about this was getting this tag to show up because it's a picture. But if you wanted it to show up on HTML, you have to first save the picture as a file. So I used imgur, whatever they call it. I saved the picture as a PNG, like this. And then you can access that PNG using some code right here. Just call it my image or whatever you want. And then it's accessible at any time from any place as long as you have Wi-Fi. Because you can't really, I tried many different methods. I tried storing it into like a file and then throwing it in, but that doesn't work. just have a link that can access that image, and then you can upload any image or any tag or any signature to whatever email, and it works every time. So yeah, let me know if you want the actual HTML to this. I can just drop down a comment below and I'll send it to you. And if you want the actual flow, just an end-to-end flow, do the same, and I can send you an email with the actual JSON in it. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hope you learned something valuable today. And if you have any questions, drop them down in the chat. If you're interested in working with me, just hit up my link down below for Optrix AI and schedule an appointment. Let's talk about how we can implement AI into your business. But yeah, see you in the next video.